So in order to connect our components up to our newly created store that we will create very shortly, we're going to introduce something called React Redux. And React Redux provides us with bindings so we can connect our components to the store itself. So React Redux. Redux on its own has no relation to React, but it is very, very commonly used as a state management system for React. Redux can be used with any libraries or any JavaScript that we talked about before. Angular, Ember, jQuery, or just plain JavaScript can also be used with Redux as a state management system. And React Redux provides bindings that we can use with React. So let's just take a look at the flow of what we're going to be doing here. It might be difficult to get this conceptually just from looking at an image. And what we'll do, we'll briefly introduce this now. We'll set up React and React Redux. We'll connect a component to the store. We'll see it in action. And then we'll come back to this afterwards so that we can discuss the flow of what happened. But what we have, and if we start with what we do know, because we're already using them, we're using components. Now, on this particular slide, I have the container components and presentation components. And if we want to compare this to something that we're already using, our event dashboard would be an example of a container component. And the event list and the event list item and the event list attendees, they could all be considered presentation components because they don't have any state. They only receive props and return JSX for presentation on our page. Now, our event dashboard in the strictest sense is slightly more than just a container. It also has certain functionality inside it as well. But for purposes of discussion, we'll say that our event dashboard is a container component. Now, when we connect our application and our components to the store, we need a way to change the state in the store, and we also need a way to receive the data from the store. So in the case of receiving the data, what we do is we map the store states to our container properties or our props. And there's a map state to props function that we use to achieve that. And then we have access to the store state inside our container components. If we need to change the states in the store, let's say we add a new event, then we would need to call an action for that to happen. And the function that we use for that is map dispatch to props. So the term is dispatching an action. And what this gives us is we create an action, then we import it into our container component. We use the map dispatch to props function, which allows us to dispatch this action. And in this example, for instance, I'm adding a new event. We dispatch an action to our reducer, and that action to add the event would then be added to our store. Our store is connected to our app by a provider that Redux React gives us. And then from that provider, we can map our state to the props. And then in our container component, we see the additional event. Conceptually, this might be a bit weird. At the moment, I agree. I appreciate that. So what we'll do is take a look at just configuring all of this, creating a reducer, action, store, bindings, the provider. We'll put all of this together in an example, and we'll come back to this particular chart in the summary so we can reaffirm what we've done and how this particular system works. So what we'll do is we'll set up Redux, we'll configure the store, we'll create the root reducer, we'll add the store to our index.js file, which is like the top of the tree of our application. And then we'll set up React Redux and wrap the app with the provider component that we get from React Redux. We'll pass the provider component the store, which we will configure. And then we'll connect our components to the store with the connect higher order component that we get from React Redux. So we've got a bit of work to do, and we'll start off by creating our store, and then we'll connect our app, and then we'll see it all in action. And that's all coming up.